In today's show, we have a multi-topic episode where first we discuss a new word for stupidity, as the current word doesn't do it justice. Then we discuss, does capitalism foster corruption? And finally we discuss, should we reintroduce gendered national service?
And now, the TNT Talk Show, daring to go where other podcasts fear to tread.
Hello, I'm Tony Fasulo and I share the stage with my esteemed friend and colleague, Tayo Boya. Tayo, hello my friend once again. I hope you're keeping safe and well.
What the hell, Tony? What you gonna do? I could tell it was coming. I was like, oh God.
Come on, be upbeat, be excitable, say hello to our audience. Come on.
Oh God. Hello, audience. What the hell, yeah? Jeez. Listen, Tony, can I ask?
Go on.
Now it's my turn. Suddenly I'm feeling a lot better.
Oh no.
This is so everybody knows this. So what's red and bad for your teeth?
I must be devoid from that list of everybody knows because I don't know.
Really?
What's red and bad for your teeth?
A brick.
Oh.
I can't believe you don't know that.
I don't go in the circles you go in then clearly because I've not heard that before. Okay, that was tame by your standards. I love it. I like this new way of doing it.
I was thinking about all the poor folks. No, serious. No, a little bit serious. I was thinking about all the poor folks who've lost people, along the way, And I was thinking about that. I'm just thinking to myself, these are not good tour guides at all, are they?
No, I like that one. I'll let you have that one.
I got it swept up. I don't know. You're laughing. You're actually sort of genuinely enjoying these now. I am. No, that's beginning to hurt now, man. That's Tony's revenge, I'm afraid.
Anyway, while we're addressing our listeners directly, I am going to ask a small favour if the listeners will be obliging. If you could comment on any of our shows on whatever platform you happen to be listening or watching on, we'd really appreciate it because that way the more comments we get on a particular show, whether you like it or dislike it, it'll give us that information to know whether we do more along those lines or we change tact altogether. So we do value your comments and feedback. So whatever platform you're on, whatever it is, please comment. We love to hear your views. So thank you for that. Okay, let's move on with today's show.
Remind me about something. I like the down, shall I?
Yeah, write it down so you don't forget. Because let's get on with our topic today. Now, time permitting, obviously we've rabbled on a bit here now, but we're trying to discuss a number of topics today, but obviously that is dependent on the time, of course. But the first one, this is one that Tayo's come up with, is what new word can we coin for unimaginable stupidity? Now, why, Tayo? Why have you come up with this? Why do you want to coin a new word for this?
I'm on social media quite a lot, arguing with imbeciles. And I call them imbeciles, but it's just not. It's like the comments that some people make is stupider than the word imbecile implies. It is stupider than the word stupid, idiot. These words are tame, weak, meaningless compared to the level of even idiocy. It doesn't convey the utter lack. It's not just a lack of intelligence. I've speculated openly on it, and if you've come across it and you don't recognize the handle, it was me. It's me. You found me out. Because I've speculated people have got a negative IQ. They're so stupid that they're actually drawing in other people's IQ and they're killing human mentality. They're sort of destroying humankind with their stupidity. And we can't just use the word stupid anymore. There's got to be something else that is it means, it
More
carries.
than just stupid.
Yeah.
So what,
because
do you want to tier it then? Do you want to have sort of mildly stupid, really stupid, and then another word or something along those lines?
I always thought there was like stupid, idiot, imbecile, but there are people that I'm arguing with who've gone way past any of these. They're like, and you just ask, how are you breathing, man? Just really, another sort of proof
But isn't stupidity in some cases relative? Because you may think someone's being stupid because of a particular act or something they said, but you've misunderstood. So they're not being stupid at all. You've just misunderstood.
I'm very careful when I argue to make sure that I completely understand what the person is saying, because early on in my career as a master of abuse, I got myself into trouble by not fully understanding the person. And by the way, I am scrupulously intellectually honest. So if it turns out that I was wrong, I'm going to have to eat crow and say I was wrong. And I don't like doing that.
Okay.
So I really take my time. Oh, what's this guy saying? But it's a recent thing. It's happened in the course of the last 6-9 months that there are people now on the internet who are just what? See? What's the word they're going to use now? You can't just say.
Okay. Let me offer you 12 British words, and I want you to pick which one you think, if any. You're going to have to write these down. See, and our audience as well. If our audience are listening in and they want to add into this, please comment on our show, whichever platform, as I said earlier, and tell us which one of these words you think Tayo could use as more apt to define somebody's stupidity. Okay, these are British, by the way, and there's 12. So let's see what we come up with. Oh, actually 11. First one is a good old-fashioned Burke.
I like Burke.
You like that one, Burke?
Yeah.
Simple. Next one is just daft.
No,
that's actually, in my opinion, that's above stupid. Daft, someone can be daft, but not stupid. Stupid is something that they're not practicing, they just have it, don't they? What about dipstick?
A what?
Dipstick.
A dipstick?
Yeah.
Nah, it's not.
That's not one for you.
No.
These next few are a bit light, I think. One is divvy.
No, divvy. No.
Dozy.
No, it's no.
What about a Scottish term, Egypt?
Hey, Egypt. I like Egypt. Actually, I use it occasionally. How to spell it is also a question. Is it double EJIT, isn't it?
EJIT. Egypt.
I think it's a word that is spoken.
Yes.
When you speak Egypt.
Yeah.
Isn't it? You said Scottish. I thought it was Irish.
I think it's Scottish.
Okay, I like
possibly.
Egypt, but
maybe it's morphed to Ireland as well, but yeah.
I like it more for speaking it out rather than writing it down.
It's more powerful spoken. I agree. Yeah, I agree. The next one is a little stronger, and this one's Irish for sure. And I apologise for what I'm going to say. It's normally Tayo who does things like this, but gobshite.
Oh no, that's actually left the sort of that's left. That's almost using like a swear word.
Yes.
So this has got to be something that you use that's just like Burke,
You
and
like
by the
Burke,
way, I like Burke. And you've put me in mind of something I'm going to suggest now. Just because you said Burke, I think we may have something. But Burke to me right now is
the one so far. Okay, a couple more. There's Pillock.
Yeah,
Pillock.
Pillock is nice too. Pillock.
Plank.
No, not a plank. But I like pillock when you're like pillock. The last thing.
Yeah.
Under your breath.
Your pillock. Yes, it's one again verbalizing it rather than. You could end a social media post with it. It wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah, pillock. But
yes. Plank.
No.
Someone's a plank.
No.
Plain old thicko.
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 It's not bad. I'm not sure it's as good as Burke, but it's pretty
But
good. It's
okay.
Thicko.
And the final one is twit.
No, I think rather than that, just change the I to an A, I think, because that's really lovely. That's
Yes.
lovely too, you know. But then I argue, as I told you several times, a lot of my interactions are with Americans and within America.
Hmm.
So that doesn't really it doesn't really get to them because they don't really. I mean, if you argue with somebody from the UK, obviously, ooh, ouch, you know.
Hmm.
But
But the thing is, are these words that you're arguing when you say you're arguing with somebody and you gauge their stupidity? This is all written though. You're not actually speaking, are you? Or are
no,
you?
I'm not. But in my head, I can hear it.
Right.
I can hear my
Okay.
response. And
Okay.
so far, I really like Burke.
Burke.
I think it really works, Burke. And I'm going to probably adopt it. It's like Burke because it's short, sharp, boom.
Yeah.
It's a smack in the face, right? But I thought of one whilst you were
Go
speaking that
on.
it's quite like Burke is Bell End.
Bell End.
Oh, it's
I
beautiful.
like that as well, actually.
Bell End is just lovely, and because of Bell End, then there is another one, Knob.
Oh yes.
But the problem with Knob is that it doesn't get past
Oh, what
what I call
censors?
useless tube, which is YouTube.
Oh right, yeah, yeah. It
Doesn't
detects it
get
as a swear word and
it does take
doesn't.
it as a swear word,
Oh,
and so does Facebook. So unfortunately, you can't even. I think even I had to give up Bellend. I think because of that. But
really?
yeah, I know on Facebook, not on Useless Tube. And Useless Tube doesn't like knob. It doesn't like twat, unfortunately.
Hmm.
So anyway,
But you've
I
decided on
think
Burke, I think.
Burke is. I like nematode.
Nematode.
Nematode. Nematode is a type of worm.
Okay.
And you call people nematode, really that gets, but
But
it's too popular. Too many people are using it. It doesn't really.
but isn't the whole point of speaking to somebody who you deem as stupid,
Mm.
if you're using words like nematode, isn't that beyond them? That
It
they'll
doesn't
just not
matter. It's the
understand
sound
the
of it.
insult?
It's for some funny reason. When you look at it on a page, you know what it means. It's really weird. Just type it out on the page and look at the nematode. Is it you're a toad? You just you know.
They may not understand it. If you're addressing
Well,
somebody who's uh, a few, what's the word we could use? A few
a few pencils
pints
short of
short of a
a case or
quart,
something.
or
The
yeah,
usual kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Then they're not
that's
going to get it, are they? You may have to go down to basics and use the simple words like Burke and
But I don't think I get
idiot.
Burke either, because these are people who I told you the IQ is actually negative. It's not. It's not
How do you
less than.
ascertain that? Can you give some examples of why you believe these people are negative IQ? What examples could you possibly share with our audience as to what makes you determine that these people have a negative IQ? What do they say? It must say something.
They say things about a situation in which they even contain the argument against themselves in their response. So
Okay.
it's like, well, look at what you just said. You
Yeah.
just said, what are you? You see, stupid doesn't work. So you,
Burke, you've just
Burke,
countered
yeah,
your own
exactly.
argument
That
in an
end,
answer.
something like because
I
look,
see.
check what you're saying, man. You can't just see what you're saying. And they don't get it. They're just like, no, it's fine. No, it's not fine, dude. There's one guy I was arguing with about amount and number. The amount of and I think he said something like the amount of men.
Okay.
And I said, excuse me, it's the number of men because you can
Mm.
count men. And then he
Yeah.
started arguing. And then he pretended that he got something from Cambridge Dictionary. I said, look, Cambridge Dictionary, I haven't looked it up, but I don't need to, because definitely
Hmm.
if it's something is countable,
You
you
don't
have to
say an
say
amount.
number of.
Hmm.
And if it's uncountable, like water or you say
Amount.
amount. And
Mm.
I said, no. you can, if you make units out of water, like units of water, you can use the number. I said, what are you saying? You can count units of water, therefore you say
A number.
the number of bottles. You can say amount of bottles, the amount of bottles. So,
Maybe though, I mean, if you're speaking to someone from a different culture, maybe they do use that in their common language.
it
So
doesn't matter what they use; it's English. And then
granted,
I got all these links from the grammar.com and people like this, really respectable sites.
yeah.
and I put all these links there. I said, look, here are 3 truly respectable, well-known sites. And I'd even quoted OED, Oxford English Dictionary, to him.
Yeah.
And I've got these, serious tomes, people who know what they're talking about. Well, they explain this. It says something like, oh, you just went and randomly picked the riffraff off the internet. Grammar.com is not riffraff, man.
No.
Okay, neither is the Oxford English Dictionary. You nematode.
I have noticed, and our audience may have noticed as well, that you seem to be regularly picking fights with people. Is this a pastime of yours? Because I've been on social media as well, but I don't tend to pick fights. So you pursue it. You look out for this, do you?
I go into evolutionist sites and I destroy. I just wake up in the middle of the night and spend like an hour just destroying people.
Really?
It's just so much fun. And I'm trying to get ready for being able to replicate that in real life on the spur of the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think.
Why do you think that that's a skill, to insult somebody?
Because I'm thinking about going into politics.
Oh.
And I think it's really important that I do so and bring a new perspective towards discourse. When you sit down with a know-it-all who is talking nonsense, that you be venomous. You've got to actually be so that people are afraid to cross you, because they know that you're going to land. I mean, I've taken out, and I'm very proud of this, I've taken out a professional comedian. I took out a professional comedian on Useless Tube.
Really?
Really.
Don't name them, but they're professional, and you said something that undermined them, or...
Undermine them.
Are they a well-known professional comedian?
Yeah, he's been on Oxford, he's been on Edinburgh comedy circuit, and he's known, he's well known enough that he has his own channel and everything.
What was the topic, if you don't mind me asking?
He had a really tinny, really cheap sounding video, and he was trying to say, well, I'm just being funny. And that's actually how I got him. He said, I'm just being funny. I wasn't trying to be a master recording artist or something. I said, well, you weren't funny either.
Oh.
Yeah, and I got loads of thumbs up. So that's I couldn't even respond.
Humor is subjective, but if you're not funny and you realize,
well, he was funny, but when you argue, you don't have to be telling the truth all the time. Like you've told me before, haven't you, Tony?
Indeed.
It's landing a blow, just boom.
Right, listen, I'm mindful of the time on this one. We've discussed this at length. So what word are you going to go for? Is there one you've picked here that you think, well, know what, I like that? You like Burke, do you?
I like Burke.
Okay. Yeah. I'd like to hear our listeners and watchers what they think. Do they agree with Tyre, with that word? Or have you got any others that you wish to share? Please share. Put them on our channels.
Write in and say Tyre's a bellend, because you write in, baby. I'm coming for you, man. I made the best man win.
Oh, dear me. Okay. Well, we found a word that we can use for ultimate stupidity. What I would like you to do, actually, Tyre, is to grade this. You need you need to come up with some sort of, I don't know, how can I put it? A scale.
A hierarchy of stupidity.
A scale as to when you think at what level the word Burke would need to be introduced. Whereas prior to that, stupid sort of runs out at what? 1 out of 10?
Yeah, very tame.
Okay, okay. Right, let's move on. Let's move on to another topic. Now, this is a second one we'll try and get through. And this one is less upbeat, obviously. This is, does capitalism, Western capitalism, obviously, foster corruption? Now, Taya, you wanted to address this one. Why do you believe, or I'm assuming you believe, that this is the case?
No, I'm just asking a question that I came across.
Okay.
I think, again, was an argument in social media somewhere. And does capitalism foster corruption? And I'm not sure it does intrinsically. It's not intrinsic reason why it should. Now, I didn't really argue the case when I came across it, but I thought I'd bring it to our little forum here, and we'll have a little chat about it and see what you think. I think the answer is not necessarily. I don't see why it necessarily fosters corruption.
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't if capitalism is applied properly, where there have to be some rules, especially for those people in
But what
power.
is capitalism? What is it?
Well, capitalism is allowing the free markets to dictate your economy in a way, and with innovation and new services and no restriction from, well, minimal restriction from central government. And this way you are encouraging companies and organizations to invest, to create products, create services, which in turn employs people, and those services are bought by the general public. And the market forces, in other words, the best product, like the cream, rises to the top. So the better products survive and climb to the top. And that's capitalism, because you're driving innovation, you're driving success for further success for you as a company. Whereas if there wasn't capitalism, then the innovation element is removed. So why do I need to create anything new? I'm going to make money as it is at a certain level, which is what socialism and to a higher extent communism promote, where everything is equal. There is no market forces. So the entrepreneurship of an individual is completely removed from that.
Stifled. Isn't capitalism something to do with the means of production? Isn't it something, I mean, I'm going back to my school days here. Isn't it something to do with who owns the means of production? I mean, probably what they should have done is read up on capitalism before we had a discussion. But I think it's something to do with who owns the means of production. But the means of production can be in private hands. It will follow the investment, the source of investment, so that the investor owns production. Isn't that what capitalism is?
And anyone can. It's not centralized. Yeah. It's literally spread out to the people, I suppose, allowing them to be using their creative skills and their talents to earn money based on their abilities, as opposed to dictated from a central location.
Yes. So the ownership is private. So private capital, right?
Indeed.
Private capital. So the thing is, does that necessarily encourage production? I mean, does capital? I suppose if we had a Marxist on the show, which neither one of us is, a Marxist would say that capital seeks to protect itself and seeks to increase itself.
Indeed. I mean, we're not saying that capitalism is the best thing since sliced bread and is the best thing utopia. It's not. And you're right to bring it up as a question about whether it's corruptible, because in reality it is.
Does it corrupt?
But it can be corrupt because, as you rightly say, it's chasing more.
Yeah.
And in so doing, when you're up against competition, if there aren't any boundaries in place to control how you gain that capital, you can then use it for your gain at the detriment of others, society, workers, etc.
I mean,
so,
in effect,
examples.
In effect, the the goal of capitalism, the goal of capitalism is the creation of wealth for its own sake, right? That's it. Your companies want to make money, just want to turn a profit. They're not.
Yes.
The companies are not philanthropists. They're not.
No.
No. So if you're creating a medicine, you're not doing it out of the goodness of your heart. You're doing it for profit. And
You
the more
are.
profit you can make from your medication, the better. So you don't sell, you don't price your medication for maximum benefit of the consumers, the patients.
Mhm.
You price it for the maximum profit, which is like a very careless attitude towards protection of people in society,
But
isn't
this
it?
is
Like in
where I'm
America, probably
saying,
pretty much like that, isn't it?
this is what I'm saying. Yeah, we can point to where there isn't enough boundaries, I use that word again, set by governments. If the boundaries are not there, then you're right. Capitalism can then be corrupt because
Yeah,
it could be chasing the buck as opposed to doesn't care of who it's harming. If it's making money, so be it. That's the whole point of capitalism, as you say.
yeah, but if you're saying then that it must have a limiting,
there has to be some
well, in
boundaries in
that case,
place.
then the answer, then you are basically saying yes, it is corrupting because you're saying it's not going to work on its own.
It can to a certain degree.
I don't know what that means. I mean,
It means
it's
that
a general question.
when it becomes too, so if you're picking on an individual company, in the first part of its growth, it's looking for ways to generate capital, and it has to produce a product or a service. So that service or product has to be reasonable, otherwise they're not going to get any customers. So they're going to have to make it or improve it in such a way that makes it viable to an end purchaser, whoever that is. And if the quality is no good or the service is poor, people will buy a bit and then, no, I'm not buying that, that's no good. And you then no longer have a business. So there has to be some benefit that you've got to produce from your product for consumers to then buy. And in some cases, if you've got a consumable product, they'll want to buy again. So you've got to make it to a degree, a certain quality and standard in order to get sales. Where the problem happens is where you've got markets where you've got somebody who's so powerful with that has grown unopposed without any competition. They've then abused their market share, become so powerful, and that's when capitalism corrupts, because they have so much power and influence. They can either fleece the customer becomes dependent on the product, so they can raise the price to whatever they want because no one else is offering it. They've got a unique product, the customer wants it. What a position to be in. I can charge what I like. And you're right, that's not right when that happens. And that's when the boundaries need to be put in place to prevent companies getting to such a size where their market share is so huge, so influential, that they abuse the system that they were actually created in. So that's where capitalism can go awry. And we need to put some boundaries in place.
But what you've done is you've stuck the solution into your definition of capitalism. You've stuck the solution to the problem. You're recognizing there's a problem, and then you're defining capitalism in such a way that it's you're saying as if part of capitalism is a functioning government. But like in Nigeria, my country of birth, it's unfortunately the government doesn't help because government is corrupt.
Well, you're now pushing capitalism is also the government. Yeah, the system.
It's just the system. That's all.
Okay.
It's just private ownership of the means of production. So forget about what the government is doing. It's just looking at it that if you had a primitive society and you were going to give them all this machinery and means of production of industrialized production, and you let them sort it out themselves as to how they manage that. Question: would capitalism tend to create a corrupt system, or would something like socialism, for instance, if you gave them the same means of production and you gave them this idea of a socialist sort of corporate ownership kind of thing, would that tend not to produce corruption? That's what I'm asking. So you can't then talk about, there's capitalism, but it needs, because if you say capitalism needs regulation, then obviously capitalism is corruptive.
It's not corruptive, because otherwise we wouldn't have it in our society.
Right.
And capitalism isn't corrupt unless it gets, right? If capitalism isn't corrupt per se, but it can become corrupt like any other, there are other businesses as well within capitalism itself that are not corrupt. So you're talking as a whole entity on its own.
I am. And I'm, so actually, now that you said it, I think that capitalism is corruptive because it seeks profit. And that is its goal. There is no idea of a philanthropic utility in capitalism.
No, that's not true.
That can be in itself, in the system itself.
Yeah.
The system itself is just make a profit. Now, you're talking about you create a product, a consumable, and you sell it to people, and if you could get away with it, which I believe Coca-Cola was doing in the early stages of its lifetime, I believe Coca-Cola actually contained cocaine.
Yeah.
Right?
But they didn't know back then that it was...
Yeah, but I can imagine how everybody sort of loved their Coke.
Yeah, they did love Coke. They did. Indeed.
Really love their Coke, man. Right? Or tobacco, the tobacco industry. Yeah. They knew cigarettes were addictive, right? So
I don't think that was the problem. I don't think that's the problem. You can produce a product that's addictive. That doesn't make it
like what? Well, there's no product that's addictive that is not frowned upon, because
there's certain foods are addictive.
Yeah, but then that's the whole point. We're fighting against it now, aren't we? Because I mean, you eat too much of it, you become too fat.
Indeed, but the addiction is the individual's issue.
Yeah, but if you know that something's addictive and then you add it in, it's not necessary for the taste of the product.
No, indeed. I'm not saying you should, but what I'm saying is it's
but
also an individual
would suggest
choice.
that you could do that. If it just
capitalism would suggest, and it has happened. We've got examples of it.
So that's what I'm trying to say, that it's corruptive because philanthropy is not part and parcel of its psyche, if you like. It's not, of its DNA. So it is corruptive.
Yeah, without checks and balances, then capitalism does foster corruption. However, it's it isn't. There's no other system that would necessarily count as being better for producing wealth and lifestyle and general.
What is socialism?
Socialism is where, let me get this right. Socialism is where people are not necessarily encouraged to generate capital. You're generating for the benefit of others in the society, other than just
I think socialism.
Yourself.
I don't know if it's socialism or Marxism or communism or what. But isn't that when the means of production is not the means of production is, or if you like, art, depending on whether you use it as a noun or a mass noun, the means of production are the property of the state, of communal ownership. So individuals cannot own
anything.
Really. They cannot own the means of production. They cannot own the means of production, because it all comes down to who's producing wealth and who owns it.
But the problem with that, can you see the failing?
So you can own a car, you can own a house, you can own a car. Those are not means of production. Those are just your personal property.
But the thing is, can you see where socialism and, to the point, communism I mean, in an ideal world, if you think about it, all the resources are shared amongst everyone. That's a great utopia. But then, unfortunately, when you have a society, does everybody pull their own weight?
No.
No. So you may get a few that produce far more than anyone else. And the others who don't produce will quickly work out saying, well, I don't need to produce because I'm going to get a share regardless. So why should I be bothered to get out of bed and work harder than anyone else? I'll just do the barest minimum because I'm still going to get a wage, income, food, whatever it may be. Why do I need to do more? And soon this attitude does permeate across everyone because the ones who were producing more will see.
What's the flipping point?
Yeah, we'll see. What's the
I'm
point?
working for everyone else.
I'm working for. Why am I going to do it? So their productivity drops. Well, so everyone drops to the lowest possible productivity level, and so innovation is stifled. Success is frowned upon. You can't do it. What's the point? And so everyone defaults to the absolute minimum they can get away with. And that means society doesn't really move forward. And as a social experiment, communism and in certain cases socialism, when it's got to that point, you've now stifled your whole society. What you want, I mean, capitalism itself, if free-for-all capitalism doesn't work either, because as you've already touched upon, it is corrupting because they will think for themselves only and forget everybody else. If I produce a product, people will buy it, it's addictive, but it kills them, what do I care? I'm making profit. That's what capitalism can bring without the checks and balances. So they are at two ends of a spectrum. So you want to find not a middle ground, but something which, well, would bring growth to a society, but at the same time, the companies are not exploiting the very people that they're producing goods for, or even the workers that are they're employing to help them create the things in the first place, which is what used to happen. If you used to work for somebody, the employer had all the power. They could abuse you, they could treat you almost like a slave. You had no rights and no way of representing yourself. But then you don't want the other end of the spectrum where the workers are totally powerful, where the employer is being handcuffed and can't move forward as a company because the workers are constantly on strike and moaning. Then that's not good either. So, like I said, both scenarios aren't good. You need to have a medium somewhere in the middle that works for everybody, but still allows productivity, still allows success and growth on the society, but with the checks and balances, the boundaries will stop companies pushing, yes, but not pushing too far and perhaps doing things that they shouldn't do.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like the way when I found out, I was horrified, and I'm still horrified virtually every single day, that I discovered, probably from one of our shows, that once upon a time, trams in America and here, I think in the UK, ran everywhere in city centers. And there was one every couple of minutes, so you could get anywhere from point A to point B within a city center quite easily. You didn't need a car, everything was fine, you didn't need a horse, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was horrified to find that what happened was that the car companies came together and bought up these tram companies and then killed them.
Oh.
That's what happened to the trams. And the politicians sat back and just let it happen. And that's why we all drive cars now.
Interesting.
Yes, I know. That's what I found. That's what I mean by the corruptive influence of capitalism.
Well, there you go. That is an example.
That psychology wouldn't exist in a socialist state because you wouldn't be thinking about just
but in a socialist state, who would make the decision of making the trams in the first place? The workers wouldn't, because why would they bother? They'll just walk. You see what I mean? The innovation to create a lot of this comes from personal individuals with an idea. I think, oh, that's an idea. Maybe I can solve that and make some money at the same time. And it in a capitalist society, you're fostering success. You're fostering encouragement for people to come up with new ideas because they can benefit from them, not just themselves, but obviously other people too by getting customers. So everybody is not forward thinking, but more open to possibilities. When you're in a socialist or communist society, a lot of those are removed because you're thinking, well, I can come up with these ideas, I can work hard, I can generate all this effort for what? It's not coming back to me at all. And that's the challenge. If there was a way that socialism would still allow individuals the success that they individually create, but still sharing it out and letting them prosper, maybe there must be a way.
There must be a way where you'd reward innovation with hefty income or something. Not income, a one-off but hefty fee.
Yeah, but what if it fails? What if down the line the product doesn't work? Yeah, okay. Should you be rewarded just for a thought?
Well, that's one way to start. That's one way to get people thinking and putting it in. At least you get all these patents coming in. So instead of having to pay for a patent, the state pays you for a patent. That's one way to just get off the ground.
Well, I want to create a bouncing banana with wings.
Can you? Well, if you can,
that's an idea. I should get paid for that then.
Yeah, I think if you can.
You see what I mean? It's
but hang on, you should. You've asked me a question. My answer is you should get paid for that because we never know where that's going to lead. Virtually every military innovation that is on the battlefield today in a modern technological contest, such as in Ukraine and Russia, virtually every technological innovation started out as something for fun.
Yeah.
Everything, right? So
but that's innovation in a capitalist environment.
So you don't know where your bouncing winged banana thing is going. That could be a new form of drone for all we don't know. So it's okay. And we're not going to pay you like $1 million. It's just an idea right now. It's an innovation. But thank you very much. Here's £5,000 for your trouble. It's okay.
I could come up with ideas like that all day. I'd be.
Yeah, it's got to work. You can't just say.
Well, that's what I mean. But the whole point.
You're sweeping a lot of stuff under the table here. There's no point sending me a drawing of a banana with wings on it. It's just like, no, that's all right. So where is it? You've got to actually bring in a flying banana.
Okay. In that case, then, if we've gone that far, for me to actually create it, find some investor to give me the idea, not give me the idea, give me the money in order to create this thing, because I haven't got the money to do it. So I've had to find an investor. And if I've done that and we sell it, then why shouldn't the investor and I generate wealth purely because we did all the work?
For the good of society that you live in. That's why it shouldn't. But you're going to get a little
I could give a percentage. I could be altruistic.
No, that's what taxes are for. But
there you go then. That means capitalism does work.
No,
because I'm generating wealth. I'm creating an industry.
Works. I'm talking about the corruptive influence. Now, there is no corruption there. You are going to get something for your time and your effort. No, there's no problem there. But it's going to be limited, and you're not going to end up chasing profits. That's the funny thing about it.
Well,
you're be chasing profit, okay? That is going to be farmed out to I don't know. The government is going to set up industries to create this, and people will work there and will work on it for everyone's greater good, not to turn a blooming profit.
But there's no incentive there for the greater good, is there?
Yeah, there is, because we all live in that society.
Yeah, but that's implying that everyone's altruistic.
I mean, isn't this the Finnish model, by the way?
You in particular. Yeah, but you in particular want to behat people when they don't follow the rules. So, I mean, how altruistic is society if we compare it to
but that really works, man. People have got a lot of incentive to not go wrong in a society where you get your head hacked off. Okay, a lot of incentive, far more than profits.
I think someone then would have to you'd have to set up a committee to set the threshold, because you could have one idea that's it will benefit society in a tiny way, and you can have an innovation that could be.
You can never tell what's
like, well, not exactly. You can't tell. But
can't
why
tell.
then should you reward somebody just for the idea? Make it come
Because
to
it's their
market and
idea,
start
because it's
to make
hard
profit.
to come up with brilliant ideas.
Wouldn't
It's
it be
really, really
easier?
hard.
Wouldn't it be easier having the way that we have it, where you allow that freedom for capitalism to flourish, to get to a certain stage, and then we put the checks and balances in?
No, all
Because
you're
if
trying
you
to do
know
now
how
is just
profitable the
finesse.
company
You're
is.
just trying to finesse the system now. That's fine. The idea is not, we're moving away from profit for its own sake into how do we regulate this thing?
Well, that's
No
right.
profit
It
for
does
its
need
own-
regulation.
And so in that case, it's that capitalism is corruptive.
I'm not disagreeing.
It's there.
I
It's
am
boom.
actually not disagreeing.
It's boom. It's done. In my opinion.
Indeed. I do think it fosters corruption if it's.
Don't put if.
No, it's got to be
where,
if.
That's where we diverge then, because I'm saying that the system is just take the system on its own. That's all. Without extending it, just the system by its own, does it tend to corrupt? Yes. Finish.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
that's it. No, there's no need to say if. There's no if. Yes, it's corruptive. How do you deal with it?
But
That's
thankfully,
where
yes.
you're going. That's where you're going to it now.
Indeed.
Right.
How
But
we
it's just
deal with
corruptive.
it is by putting the checks and balances, the boundaries in place to prevent those abusive situations where companies get too powerful and they abuse their position. And that's
We
absolutely
should probably
right.
come back to this with a proper Marxist and a proper socialist, because I'm sure they're going to have arguments that we haven't thought of, because they believe in it, and I mean we'll probably destroy them, because I think their position is fundamentally flawed. But I don't think we've done their side justice.
Well, you don't. I mean, what you don't want with capitalism is where you. I mean, we're going to use. I'm going to use the US as an example.
Very true.
I mean, yeah, they're the richest country on the planet, and they have the most millionaires and billionaires on the planet by far. But they also have horrific poverty at the low level. The disparaging, the what's the word I'm looking
Disparity.
for? Yeah, disparity between the rich and the poor is enormous.
Mhm.
And it begs the question, in a modern society, which the US is, why do the rich are so super rich? Why are there not checks in place to limit a little of that, just a little, so that could be put down to help those in society who literally have nothing? So that would be altruistic. That would be a way of helping the society at large. So there are ways that the boundaries could be put in place, because once you've got 30 billion, how much is another few billion?
I've never understood that about some people anyway. So you're asking the wrong person. I don't understand why. You're talking about billions. I don't really understand why if you got 10 million, you need an 11th and a 12th. I mean, But I suppose that's because
it's
I don't
mind-boggling,
have.
isn't it? It's
Maybe if I had 10 million, I'd know why.
Possibly.
Because you'd be mixing with people who've got. The famous example of that.
How many yachts do you need? How many fast cars and houses do you need?
No, the famous example of that is Hugh. Oh my goodness, what's his name?
Hugh Hefner?
No, not Hugh Hefner. This is somebody. I remember that Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio
That was a
played
slip.
him in a. I know. Played him in a film. He played this character. This was based on a real human who was the world's richest man at one time. I think this was in the 20s, and I believe he dabbled in things like in aircraft, and he dated Greta Garbo and people like this.
Rothschild? It wasn't Rothschild.
No.
It was
H somebody. His name started with the H or something, right? Anyway, and he built this huge aircraft. Remember, with the giant wings and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we all know who I'm talking about. I just can't remember his name now. It was sticky. He was a billionaire.
Yeah.
When it really meant something. And he was coming out of a hotel or something, and or he was in a hotel or coming out from a hotel in Texas. And there was this loudmouth person who was making a lot of fuss and about this and I'm this and I'm that and really kicking up a storm. So he went up to him and he said, "Dude, what's your problem, man? You know, the equivalent of
Yeah.
what's your problem?" The guy said, "Do you know who I am? I'm the Texas oil millionaire. I got $100 million."
Mhm.
And
Why would he
this
need
guy,
to do that? But okay.
yeah, this guy just calmly put his hand into his pocket, brought a coin and said, "Okay, I'll flip you for it, for your $100 million." Now, the silence was like that. Just now, he could afford to lose $100 million,
Wow.
but the other guy couldn't.
It's
And in
not
that
W.
instant,
Clement
the other guy
Stone,
came
is it?
to, sorry?
W. Clement Stone?
It
No.
starts with an H. I want to say Hefner, but it's not Hefner. It's
No.
somebody else. And like I said, Leonardo DiCaprio played him there's a movie of his name. He went crazy in the end. Remember the guy with the fingernails? With the long fingernails?
Fingernails.
Who wouldn't let anybody touch him? He ended up sort of sitting in his chair alone in his mansion with his very long fingernails, and nobody could clip his fingers and fingernails.
Gosh.
He went,
We need the help of our audience now. Help us, audience. Put comments in. Who are we talking about? When the name
Who
escapes
are we
us.
talking about?
Yeah.
We don't know who we're talking about. That's why a couple of numpties. We don't know who we're talking about. Do you know who we're talking about?
Yes, indeed. I bet our audience do. Our audience are pretty clever, so they could be telling us who they are. But anyway.
Billy and yeah, it's your search terms are everything in life, right? Long fingernails, billionaire.
Anyway, I'm mindful of the time here because we've got another subject I want to try and get in if we can.
Howard Hughes Jr.
Howard Hughes.
There you go.
Okay, there we go. We got there. All right. So he could afford to do that, but
yeah, he could afford to lose them. So and then the other guy that he did that to, he just calmed down and just because he realized I'm not rich.
Well, it's relative at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. It's all relative. Who says this? This is Chris Rock. This is Chris Rock or Dave Chappelle. I have a feeling it's Chris Rock. I don't think it's Dave Chappelle. And it could have been Dave Chappelle. If it is Dave Chappelle, I'm sorry, Dave. He said Oprah Winfrey is it was Chris Rock. Oprah Winfrey is rich. What's his name? Kobe Bryant is rich. You know, it's all these black people. He said they think they're rich. He said they're not rich. Magic Johnson isn't rich. Jordan, what's his first name? Michael Jordan isn't rich. And people in the audience staring at me saying, I think they are rich. Said they're not rich. Said the person signing their checks, that's who's rich. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, maybe.
Who's signing their checks? That person is rich.
I'm not sure because some corporations will be paying them, so individually, no one is richer than them.
I mean, they own the corporation. I mean, think of
there's not normally. They're not
the
normally.
Guy, the Tesla guy. What's his name?
Oh, Elon Musk. Yeah.
Okay.
He's an example. Okay, I'll give you that one, but that's not always the case.
He's got a bob or two, as we like to say in the UK.
Anyway, let's wrap this one up. So, what does capitalism foster corruption?
Inevitably, it does.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. However, it's the best that we've got. A bit like democracy.
I was thinking that in my head.
Yeah,
I was thinking that in my head. A bit like democracy.
Yeah. It's the best that we have, and it is not perfect, but with the right checks and balances, it can bring benefits to a wider group of people. Okay, the final one, hopefully for today, because we have run out of time, so we'll have to spend a short period on this particular subject. And again, it's another one of yours. These are all yours today.
Okay.
Should we reintroduce gendered national service? Why did you come up with this one? What's
well, before I realized what was going on in this country, I was trying to fix it. I was trying to fix the UK, and I thought that one way to fix the UK would be to bring back some form of discipline, amongst our youth, and to start the long march back to men being men and women being women, and good gendered, strongly defined gender roles. So in my naivete, I thought perhaps bringing back national service and making a gender so that, the men did the carrying of the weapons and the fighting and all that sort of thing, and the women did, support stuff, whatever, suitable for a woman in a strongly masculine society. Women have got a very well defined role that's been cut out for them, as have men. And at the time, this is only a couple of years ago. I think it was like 2019, 2020, and I thought at the time it would help. Now, however, now that I understand what the situation is and I have an insight into what's gone wrong in the UK, I was wondering what was the matter with the UK. I left the UK in 1982, 83 after uni. No, sorry, 1980. And then I returned in 2005. And I returned to a different country, completely different country. Something terrible had gone wrong until this afternoon.
Oh, okay. This afternoon?
Until this afternoon.
Hmm.
Yeah, 17th of January, 2023. I hadn't realized what had gone wrong with society. And now that I know what's the matter with this society and with European society and with Western society, I see now that it's a lost cause and there's no point worrying about it. It's done. It's over. It's kaput.
Okay. I mean, you're digressing a little bit here.
No, there's no point. So I'm actually saying that in response to, should we bring back gendered national service? Nah, no point.
Okay. The wider question about whether the West is destroyed, or in your opinion, I think that's a big leap. Let me talk about this in particular. You said, okay, should we reintroduce gendered national service? Well, okay. Can I ask you a question and see what you think? How many soldiers actually fight arm to arm without a weapon?
Without a weapon? None. Well, without a weapon. Not even a knife.
Not even a knife. Who? How many?
Zero. Zilch.
No. Okay. How many with a knife in an army?
Well, I'd say less than. I'm looking at the Russian-Ukraine war. I watch a lot of videos of soldiers attacking other soldiers in the trenches. I'd have to say I never saw anybody actually get down to bayonets.
They use a knife, don't they?
No, they use the guns.
Gun, yeah. So, can a female fire a gun like a man?
Yes-ish, yes.
There you go. So think about it. What difference does a man to a female make in a military service when all you're doing is firing?
All you're doing is not firing. All you're doing is staying awake.
Okay.
And marching and carrying heavy loads.
Yeah.
And being under tremendous physical stress. As found out by the American and Israeli armies. I don't know if you know this. I think even the British Army has found out, especially the British Fire Service has found out that in order to include more women in their services, they have had to seriously degrade the entrance exams. So now the physical requirements has been dropped so that women can get in, and it's been dropped so much that especially people, I think the only arm that has refused that is the Marine Corps in America. And they've absolutely just said, no, we're not going to do that. And women can't get in because they just can't, they can't meet the standards. And the idea is, if you can't meet the standards, you're degrading the effectiveness of the entire Corps. Because we are having to look out, you're carrying a dead weight, basically. So these
that's a bit harsh, a dead weight. You're saying they could be a liability because
no, they are, because if you're 70%,
still strong, but okay.
Yeah, but just excuse me, I just tell it the way it is.
But if the entrance exam to allow women to get in, doesn't that mean you've got the best women that pass the entrance exam?
You got the best.
They're actually good.
No, they're
but
not
you
good.
then diluting it for the men. Is that what you're saying?
They're 70%. They may be 100% for them, for their standard, but they're only 70% of the men.
So the men are doing the same entrance as the women. Why is they not separate? Based on the fact that there is a a physical difference between a man
How's
and a
that going
woman.
to how's that going to stand up in court?
What do you mean? How's it going to stand up in
How's it
court?
going to stand up in court that you ask a woman to run 5 miles, but you're asking me to run 10? So why am I not?
Are you not a man?
The whole point is it's supposed to be equality. So I'm talking about American.
We're looking at the job
American system
in question.
The American system is this. If it's source for the goose, it's source for the gander. So there's no way you can say to a guy, "We're not going to let you in. You ran 6 miles, but this woman ran 5 miles. She gets in, you don't." Obviously, that's going to end up in court. Obviously, the court is going to take the side of the man. So everybody runs 5 miles, and that's it. If you can run 5 miles, you're in. If you can't run 5 miles, you're out.
It's a bit more than that. It's more in
Yeah,
depth than that. But yeah, you're giving the example. Okay.
All right, and the same thing with our out here in the UK. Same thing in our fire service. You can't say to the men, "Okay, you've got to run up 10 flights, but the woman can run up 2 flights." What the heck is that? Why am I running up 10 flights? So everybody now just gets to run 2 flights. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
How did we get into this topic anyway?
Well, you said, should we reintroduce gendered national service?
So yeah, no. So my now that I understand what's going on, don't bother. It wouldn't help. It's not. That's not the issue. The issue is far more fundamental than that.
Is this to do with equinity rather than equality?
This is to do with our schooling system. I just found out what goes on in schools, and I didn't know that.
Oh, yes. If you want to elaborate, because our listeners are now thinking, what's he found out? What's he found out? You found out that in the US, I believe?
In the UK.
No, it was the US, was it not?
No, what I found out today was about UK schools.
Oh, okay. You shared something with me earlier.
Right, I did share something with you earlier. But that wasn't even a school, that was like a uni. So that's even like a tertiary level.
Yeah.
In the United States of America, there is a gentleman who refused to go along with his lecturers, his professors' ideas about gender identity. He said there are only 2 genders. And the professor required him. Initially, she gave him 2 weeks. To stand in front of the class and read out an apology.
That's
which, having thought about it, he thought, okay, you know what? All right, I'll do. And then she suddenly upped the ante and required it of him, like, they came in the morning, on a couple of days later, she said, "Well, are you ready to read that now?" And he said, I've got 2 weeks. And she said, "No, do it now." He said, "No." And so he faced disciplinary action, which is fighting back now and saying that actually he does have a right to his opinions and a right.
Well, yes, of course. That's just people interpreting the rules to a ridiculous level. We've touched on this before.
I don't think it's going to win. I don't know about the UK. I mean, like I said, I understand what's going on now, so I'm pretty sure he's not going to win.
What is fundamentally what's going on then? But I'm mindful of the time, so you need to be quite brief.
What's fundamentally going on is that in the UK, I suppose what I could tell you is that I'll tell you later. Well, anyway, so what's going on in the UK is this: once the children worked out that teachers didn't have the power of corporal punishment any longer in this country, they worked out that they were untouchable. And they are untouchable. If you lay your hands on a pupil, right, you will be drummed out of this teaching service, and you won't be able to work with children. You get a black, so it's not pedophilia or anything, but you do get a black mark. It goes into your file. It gets noted by the DBS. You can't work with children any longer.
Okay.
So there's that. So children can shout, scream, make noise, bang around, do whatever they want to do in class, and the most you can do is send them to detention, which they don't have to go to. Because what are you going to do if they don't go to detention? You're not going to do anything. No one's going to do anything.
But the thing is, should we be in a society where we force children to be there? Because there's going to be those that choose to be there and those that choose not. If they choose not, that's the path they've chosen. As adults, we're going to try and encourage them to come and attend. But if they don't want to and they're unruly, what did we do in the past? Beat them?
Yes.
And that was the fix, was it?
Of course, because pain is a wonderful teacher.
It is a wonderful teacher, but
It's
I think
teacher
society has tried to
unparalleled.
move on to sort of go, well, let's see.
Society has tried to move on.
It has
It's an
moved on, but it hasn't
experiment.
worked. It's an
Of
experiment.
course, it hasn't. Who thought it was going to work?
Well, they had to try it. It
No,
works
they
in
didn't.
uni. Think
No,
about
excuse me.
that. Think about university. University.
You're an adult. You're
You're
very
an adult,
nearly-
yes.
You're very nearly an adult, but a 5-year-old, a
So
6-year-old.
they brought it down the scale, haven't they?
What?
They've brought, look, adults at uni, they're still young people. They're given the freedom to attend or not. No one's going to tell them you must attend. It's their choice. They've brought that age choice down. So it was 18, and it's come down to 16, 14. People got a choice.
What do you
Now
know
it's
about
coming down.
tomatoes? What do you know about tomatoes?
Tomatoes?
Do you know
I
that?
mean,
Can you tell the difference between a green tomato and a red tomato?
by the colour, unless this is a trick question.
So no, by the color.
Okay.
Is a green tomato ripe?
No.
Is a red tomato ripe?
Yes.
Is a black tomato too ripe?
It's gone off.
So you can tell the difference between a green tomato, a red tomato, and an overripe tomato.
Okay.
Just like that, humans grow through a stage where at some point they're green and discipline should be enforced. Then they're red and discipline should be spoken. And then they are overripe, in which case they should be left alone to their own devices. It's just the same thing. There's
I like that analogy.
behavior.
I do
There's
like that.
apt behavior for every stage of human. What you can't do is treat a 5-year-old like an 18-year-old.
No,
That doesn't
agreed.
make sense.
Agreed.
So we've done
Okay.
what we've done now in the West is we've tried this thing now. So now we've tried it for so long that even the parents don't have discipline.
Indeed.
So you've got parents who can't discipline their unruly and undisciplined children. Children who do you know what I was told today? I was told that there's some children who don't care because over the weekend they make between £200 and £500 over every weekend
Doing what?
selling drugs.
Okay.
So what are you going to tell him in the classroom? What do you know about anything? You don't. Him or her. Why am I saying him? Her. This is the problem.
Okay.
So
Listen,
that
we can
is
talk. We can talk about this, and I think we should schedule another show for this topic because it's quite a powerful topic. But let's keep this on track. Because I'm mindful of the time. We've really gone over.
No,
So
no point.
Should we reintroduce gendered national service?
No point. Sorry.
Okay. Unfortunately, we have reached the end of the show for another week.